Welcome back to week 3, episode 2 of our embroidery series.
Woohoo!
Yes?
Yeah.
Rob Richards here for Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum in Colorado, here with Megan McCabe. She is our very popular, very famous influencer and event coordinator for Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum.
I guess I'm an influencer now.
I just made that up. You are now. It's on the internet. It's forever.
I guess.
So we are here. We've been doing a lot of streaming this for 2 weeks now, so 2.5 weeks. And so
Absolutely.
we are excited to talk about this next machine. I'll let you talk about what's going to happen here, Megan.
Oh yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the new Pfaff Creative Performance 950. You got to see it a little bit at Tech Party if you joined us for that.
Yeah.
It was really fun, but we have Meredith from Pfaff who's going to show us all about the machine. So
Yeah.
I guess we should let Meredith take it away.
Hope you're sitting down. This is going to be an amazing machine. So we'll see you at the end.
See you guys in a minute.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Meredith, one of the Pfaff educators, and I'm so excited that Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum has invited me today to introduce you to the new Pfaff Creative Performance 950 sewing and embroidery machine. Where this machine falls in the line of machines is this is just above the Creative 4.5 and then just below the Creative Icon 2. So if you are still at an entry-level machine or you're wanting to get into embroidery, this is a great machine to get into. Not only for its embroidery features, but for its sewing features. So I'm going to go through some of my favorite features visually of the machine, and then go through sewing and embroidery and some of my favorite things that you have access to in both of those. So let's talk about some of the visuals of the machine that are pretty obvious. So first, you're going to notice that you're going to have a large 10.1 inch capacitive touch screen. So this is going to work just like your normal tablet. You're able to touch with your finger, zoom in, zoom out, things like that, move around with ease with the touch of a finger. You're going to notice also the space underneath here. You get 12.1 inches of space from needle to the machine. So that's a lot of space to get a big quilt underneath or a big embroidery hoop, which I'm going to talk about the embroidery hoops that come with the machine and then some others you can get as well. So lots going on there. The other thing that I really like that's a difference is this little guy right here. So you're going to notice this little contraption, I should say. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit more here. So this is a fully automated needle threader. So you're used to being able to pull down the needle threader and thread it, but with this one, so I have it threaded here, and with one touch of a button, it's going to thread your needle for you. I didn't have to do anything there. So super quick and easy in that regard. Some other things that are available on this machine are you have Wi-Fi connectivity, so you can connect directly to your Wi-Fi. And you're probably wondering, why would I need to connect to my Wi-Fi? So there's a couple reasons for that. One is once you connect to your Wi-Fi, you can connect to your MySewNet account. So if you have a MySewNet subscription, you can access all of the embroidery library designs that are available on the website directly on the machine. Within the software, you can send your designs directly to the machine versus putting them on a USB. But I want to make note that you still can use a USB. It does have 2 USB ports on the side. So if you are in an area where you don't have the best internet connection, or if you're traveling with your machine or going to class or retreat and you don't have that internet access, you can still use a USB drive in that way. With having that Wi-Fi connectivity and then connecting to your MySewNet account, you can access the blog, you can access the library, video tutorials, and all of those other things that are available right here on your machine. Let me think of some other things. So it does have the IDT, which we know all of our Pfaff owners love. It does have the IDT because I know that's going to be one of the first questions people ask. Does it have the IDT? So yes, it does. Another big difference between this and the Creative 4.5 is going to be the bobbin size. So you're going to notice this bobbin on this side, the stark purple one, that's going to be the one that's going to come with this machine. And the one on this side is what comes with the predecessor machine. So the difference is you get 30% more bobbin wound on this bigger bobbin than you do the others. And that is great when you're doing embroidery designs, when you're doing quilting, you can get 30% more sewing done without having to change your bobbin. So I love that. That's one of my favorite features of it. I'm trying to think of what else. There's probably other things I'm forgetting, but those are just the basic things that I can think of that are not, that are visually or just directly on the machine that make it a step above the rest. So let's go into sewing first and talk about some of the features you have within sewing mode. So over here on the screen, this is going to be the screen that you're going to see when you open up or when your machine turns on. We can start with sewing or embroidery, but below that, you're going to see these options. You're going to have the My Sewnet, the user guide, and the learning center. So let's go through these here. When you have your connectivity, your Wi-Fi connected, you're going to be able to access the My Sewnet blog. And our My Sewnet team is great at updating this and adding in new features or new techniques, new projects, things like that. They're all available right here on the machine. You have your user guide. You do get a hard copy manual in your machine, but you have access to it right here at the touch of a finger. You can go and find any of those different categories or whatever type of project or technique you're wanting to do. It's all going to be on here. And then the Learning Center. This is where I tell people they should really start out. Right within here, you're going to have these different options. There's Get Started. So if you're new to this machine, it's going to tell you how to thread, how to wind a bobbin, how to insert that bobbin, how to engage, disengage IDT, how to set up for embroidery, the different things there, adding on the spring foot, all of those types of things, and then accessories. So the creative embellishment attachment, multifunction foot control, and mounting the quilt binder. You're going to find some of these also in other categories. You'll find them in more than one spot. So let's come back here. So let's go back up here to sewing. So you're going to have basic sewing techniques like adding in a seam, adding in a blind hem. But what makes these even more exciting is when I touch one of them. So let's go to blind hem, because if you're like me, I always forget which way I need to fold my blind hem on the bottom hem of my skirt or my pants. So in here, once we've selected blind hem, we're going to go to the next window here and one more over. First off, let me go back here. It's going to tell you what you need to be successful with sewing out a blind hem. But then you're going to see this little icon here. Whenever you see these, that means there's a video. So let's touch that. And it's going to tell us how we need to turn our skirt or whatever it is inside out, how to fold it, press it, pin it, flip it under, all of those things right here, a visual of that, so that you're more successful when sewing out a blind hem or whatever technique it is you're wanting to do. Tells you should have the IDT engaged. All of those great things are going to be right here. How to make adjustments with the presser foot, everything. The next one right here is going to be content. It's going to get rid of all of the other stitches on the machine and just give you the blind hem stitch. So this would be if we wanted to, I have something already loaded in here. So this would be if we wanted to load the blind hem, I could select that. Oh, this one down here. Learning Center Sewing. I could select that stitch and get straight to the stitch that I needed. There's going to be other sewing techniques like collars and necklines, hems and edges, pockets, ruffles, zippers, so many great things in here. It's going to have our exclusive sewing techniques, and we're going to go through a couple of these. With this machine, you are going to have double and triple ribbon stitches along with single. So in the previous machine, you only had single ribbon stitches. You have double and triple ribbon stitches. You have floating stitches, you have radiant stitches, you have, stacking stitches, lace edge stitches. So many different exclusive techniques are found directly on this machine as well. So, and then sewing projects, fashion ones, home decor ones, these are added in there as well. Advanced features down here. So if you're wanting to use some of the different things like Stitch Creator or design positioning or sequence or shaping, anything like that, those specific features, you can find information on how to do those here. You're going to find out more information on the accessories, some of the extras you can purchase. So the multifunction foot control with embroidery, if you're doing cutwork needles or the creative embellishment attachment or yarn couching, some different techniques are there. And then quilting as well. So the ruler feet, the free motion feet, the quilt binder, all of that can be found directly here in the Learning Center. You're going to have information on needles and stabilizer also. So you're going to find a list of utility, embroidery, all of these different needles, and when you should use them and what type of fabric you should use them on. So all of that's going to be listed here. And then next to that is stabilizer. So I know stabilizer can be confusing. It's all based off of the design, the fabric you're using, what the end result you're wanting, things like that. So it's going to have all of that listed and when you should use different stabilizers for different techniques. So that's going to be the Learning Center there. So let's go up here and we're just going to go straight to sewing. And let's just sew out. We're just going to start basic and I'm going to show you some fun things here. I'm just going to do a straight stitch. So with this, I don't have to lower my presser foot. All I'm going to do is I'm going to tap my foot pedal. Yep, just like that. And then it's going to put my presser foot down, and I have it engaged to stop with my needle in the down position. So when it does that, I can rotate my fabric when I start sewing. I can, let me show you here, I can add in a tie off at the beginning and end and a thread cut at the end. So let's do that. So if I come back over here, you're going to notice that it's going to stitch in place a couple times. That's going to give that tie off just like that. And then it's going to start sewing. And when I get to where I want to stop, I can stop there. Oh, we're going to stop there. Sorry, I went too quick. And then we're going to cut. So I could have done my tie off at the end. I guess I didn't engage my tie off at the end there. Tie off at the end as well, and then it would cut automatically. So all of that's there. Let's come back over here. You can do, let's go to a satin stitch. So let's choose, we're just going to choose a basic satin stitch right here because I want to show you, you can adjust the length of it. So you can lengthen it, which is hard to tell on here. You can make it more narrow. So these go up to, let me show you here, 9mm wide stitches. That is another great feature about this machine. The previous machines only go up to 7mm wide. These give you 9mm. So the feet are going to be a little bit bigger. But let me tell you, the feet from your previous machines will work on this machine. You just need to keep in mind that if you are doing a wider stitch, you want to make sure you're using a foot with that wider hole. But this machine comes with 12 accessories, all the feet that you need, things like that. But a lot of these specialty feet that you have from your other machines that you've done with yarn couching, whatever it may be, those can be used on these machines as well. So if we made it a little bit more narrow and then we lengthened our stitch a little bit, it's actually, we're going to go back down. Put it there. So let's stitch out just a little satin stitch here so you can see. So stitch this out a little bit here. So you don't have to even create your own satin stitches. They're already built into the machine. So right there, easy satin stitching as well. Let's go over and choose some specialty techniques. Let me talk on this part right up here. So you're going to notice up here, you've got all these little symbols and icons and things like that. So let me turn all this off here. So first it's going to tell you what presser foot you should be using. So if we go back to our straight stitch here, it has the 0 A foot recommended and it has IDT engaged. And then it's going to tell you what foot or what, I'm sorry, not what foot, what stitch it is. So it's stitch 1, category 1, level 1 and 1 right there. And then that your needle is engaged in the down position. This is going to give you all of your presets that you should have. If we go over to a satin stitch over here, so let's choose this one here. Now it wants us to use the 2 A foot to have stabilizer. And again, it tells you the stitch number and then you have your needle programs for in the down position. So all of that is right there. You don't have to think about it. It's going to give you all that information of what foot you should be using and things like that as well. So let's go over here to some of these techniques because I want to show off a couple of those that are now available on the Creative Performance 950. So let's do, you've already seen some of the other machines have single ribbon, but let's go ahead and do a double ribbon stitch here. So we're going to start out with this one here. We're going to load it and there it is there. So if you forget how to get this set up, whatever it may be, we're going to come up here, go to our Learning Center, go to Sewing and Exclusive Sewing Techniques. So double ribbon stitch right here. Because I know sometimes whenever you are doing a ribbon stitch, it can get confusing which way you place your, if you've ever done them before, which way you place your ribbon down first. So all of it's going to be right here on the machine for you. You don't even have to try and remember it all. So we're going to go across here and that's preparation, start sewing. So right here, it wants us to have stabilizer and you have your line sewn out there. It wants you to use the start and stop right here versus using your foot pedal. So it's going to stitch out the first little bit and you're going to place your ribbon. So let me pause that right there for you. So now you know which way your ribbon needs to go. And we're going to keep on going. And I want you to do that start stop again and place the next one. And it stops because it's going to go to that next technique of adding in that second piece of ribbon right here. And it's going to place the other way. So it gives you that visual tutorial. Let me back out of this. It's going to give you that visual tutorial of how your ribbon needs to be placed without you guessing and then placing it the wrong way. So let's do a double ribbon stitch here. So we are going to start out up here. Let me put my little tail there. Actually, we'll keep going down here. So I'm going to lower my presser foot and get it placed where I want it. I'm going to load that stitch again right in there. There we go. So I'm going to press the start stop button. I'm not going to use my foot pedal this time. So it's going to stop there. I'm going to stop. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. I need to stop with my needle down so that I can place my ribbon underneath. And if you remember in the video, it wanted me to have my ribbon placed this way. So we're going to stop again. And then it's going to stop. This is why you want to use that start stop function versus your foot pedal. And we're going to sew on this next one. And this is where sometimes people get confused. You would think you need to go back to the blue one, but we're actually going to go to the orange one here and place it and then start stop again. So I'm going to do this a couple times so you get the feel of what a double ribbon stitch looks like. I have added these onto table runners. Like I've done long strips and been able to embellish them on the border, things like that. You can add them on the hem of a garment. You can add them on curtains on the edge. Like they can just embellish almost anything and give you such a neat effect as well. But I will say, when as beautiful as these look and as simple as they are, you can see it's very easy to stitch them out. They do take a little bit of time to stitch out. So let me warn you there that if you decide to do it on a table runner like I did, that you'll want to be ready to be stitching out for a little while. So let's do this last one here. And then I'll show you what this looks like. So we're going to stop there and, oh, nope, better thread. Just like that. So there is a double ribbon stitch. How beautiful is that? And there's many different other techniques as well, or different looks that you can get from them. This one right here, let me show you. You find it. It's on this one, or I think it's on this one. Maybe it's on the, oh, it's on the single, but this is one of my favorites, the single one with the little person sliding down. So lots of fun different ones in here. Go in here, play with them, practice them, and just, you know, have fun with it. Stitch them out, see what they look like, lots of different things. So we've got our single, double, and triple ribbon stitches. Next, you're going to see our stacking stitches. So let's stitch out one of these. Whenever you do a stacking stitch also, you need to have a starting point and an ending point. You're going to notice that they're in categories of 2 stitches like that. So these 2 stitches go together, those go together, and so forth. So let's do this little flower one here. We want to start with the one on the left side. So the first stitch here, which is leaves. So let me show you here. I have a little starting point, a little cross line, because whenever you do these, you want them to start in the same position so that they will line up correctly and then not overlap each other in the wrong way. So let's stitch out a couple of these leaves. And whenever you're doing a stacking stitch, I would recommend doing one like the mushrooms or grass first, and I'll show you that one in just a second. And the reasoning for that is because you will notice that my stitching goes side to side here. So when you're doing stacking stitches, you want to start with one that's more basic, like the mushrooms and grass here, because it's not going to be a side to side motion. It's just going to go straight down. Until you've practiced them a little bit, you'll notice that when you do these side motion stitches here, that your fabric is moving left to right. So this is where it's really important to have those lines and just to keep everything parallel there. So that's enough of our leaves there. Let's cut that. And we're going to change our thread here, and we're going to do the next stitch. So the next one is going to be the little flowers, which is stitch number 4 you see there. I'm rethreading my machine really quick here, because it's really fun to see it with 2 different threads. So we're going to choose stitch number 4 now, which is the one that goes with the leaves. And we're going to lower our needle down into that cross starting point that we had. You see my little blue line right here, right there where we started. I'll move my finger so you can see. So I just lined it up right into there and lowered my needle down. I'm going to lower my presser foot, and we're going to just start sewing here. And then now it's going to line those flowers up, and they're going to be in the window or the mirror of the leaves so they don't overlap. So that's why it's really important to make sure you get that starting point in the same point so that it gives you the effect that it's going for here. I know when I first started doing these, I wasn't lining them up right and they would be overlapping, and that's not the effect you're wanting. So let's stop there. I'll show you these. So these are called stacking stitches. Lots of fun ones in there. So you'll see here. You see how that is and how they sort of window each other like that, and the importance of starting in the same spot each time. So that's another exclusive technique there. Let's go back over here and look. Next, we're going to have floating stitches. So let's do a couple floating stitches. So when you do floating stitches, you're going to use a special foot, and this comes with the machine here. It's going to be this foot right here, and it's got this little flange on it. So let's just choose, let's do this little diamond one right here. And there it is. And it's going to tell you that you, it doesn't have a foot selected because this is the foot you should be using, that you want stabilizer and that you should have the IDT engaged. So we're going to switch our feet here. Add this guy on just like that. Put our thread underneath. And so I'll pull it off. So when you're doing floating stitches, you're actually going to have your fabric folded like this, just folded in half. And so this is the back side. When I open it, it'll be the right side. And then I'm going to have stabilizer along the edge. So this is stabilizer. I have a cutaway under here just because that's what I had for today. But you can use a tearaway as well, or it just depends on really what, let me get my thread here out of the way. What, excuse me, what type of fabric you're using. So there we go. So we're going to line up that flange with the edge of our fabric here. And the reason they're called floating stitches, and I'll show you here in just a minute. Oh, and it wants me, forgot, oh, wrong one again. I keep hitting that. They move the buttons a little bit, and so I keep touching the needle up and down versus the needle threader and vice versa. So let's get this lined up here. And I'm going to stop with my needle in the down position, just like that. Oh, this is why I did that, because we want to engage our IDT. So I'm going to raise that up and get that engaged there. So just like that. And as the reason you want your fabric along the flange right here is because when it does this straight stitch between the stitches, between these floating stitches, you don't want that straight stitch to be seen on the front of your sewing. You want to see just the floating stitches. So let's cut that there. And so there's our stabilizer over here in our fabric. So then this is the fun part. And again, you'll see, I'm sorry, I gotta get a drink here really quick. Sorry, got a frog in my throat. So you'll notice here that those stitches between the floating stitches are on our stabilizer and not in our fabric. So that when we open this here, look at this. You just see the stitches and not those stitches between. So right now you just see my fold, but you can see right there. So that's why they're called floating stitches. So let's do one more of those. I'm going to pull this back and we're going to fold it in half and do one more here. I want to show you a different one. So down here, these are some of my favorites. Just these lines add such a fun look to them. Let's get the line back up here. There we go. So now this is, again, it's a floating stitch, but it's just these decorative lines. I love these floating stitches, and you can piece with your floating stitches also. I have actually done a log cabin with my floating stitches and pieced all the pieces together. It's a fun way of trying out the different floating stitches and seeing what they do as well. So let's finish this one here. And we'll stop there and cut. So this is why you really want to use this foot with this as well, because again, you want those running stitches that are between them on the side here. So now we're going to pull open our fabric. We'll do it for this top one too again here. And you can see there is our fun floating stitch. Look at that. Isn't that really neat? Just gives a whole different effect to your sewing than just, piecing things together as well. So that's another fun exclusive technique. Let's go to the next one. Let's do radiant stitches. So this is another one that is available on the Creative Performance 950. So with a radiant stitch, it wants us to, let me find a little fun one here. Let's just do this one here. It wants us to use the 2A foot. So we're going to attach our 2A foot here and disengage our IDT because we don't need that. So when you're doing these radiant stitches, again, we're going to do the start stop here, and we want to stop with our needle in the down position, and you'll see why in just a moment. So I'm going to press the start button, and it did a couple stitches, and now I need to turn it. So I'm going to turn this way, and it's actually going to sew back and then back forward. So here is one of our radiant stitches, and these are great when you're going along the edge of something. So it's going to stop again. We're going to turn back forward, go straight a couple stitches, and then we can turn the other way and have it go back and forth both ways, or we can have them all lined up. So I'll show you a couple of those too. But these are great along curves, along the edges of things. These are just really fun stitches to stitch out. So let's go the same way here, and you can see what that looks like. So there's many different options to choose from these two. It just gives you a bigger, wider dimensional stitch to add a little bit more to your projects. We'll do one more this way so you can sort of see. So this is another exclusive sewing technique that is available on the Performance 950. So we're going to cut right there. I'll cut my little thread over here too. So aren't those fun? And imagine if they all went the same way, or you made them go back and forth different ways. So many different options you have with those as well. So those are going to be some of the exclusive sewing techniques that are in here. So let's go down here and talk about what's down here. We have stitch repeat. So what stitch repeat is if you have a bunch of 9-inch blocks, those are huge blocks. If you have a bunch of 4-inch blocks that you're sewing together and they're the same distance between all of them, you can program in how many stitches that is so that you don't even have to pay attention. You can just keep sewing them all together, putting your two pieces together and sewing them in there, and it's going to give you that same amount of stitches. So that's great. You also have the single stitch program. So if I wanted just one of these floating stitches, I could select the single stitch, or I could do it so many times if I knew I needed 3 of those or 4 of them, whatever it might be. I can program that in so that it will stop at the end of those 4 or however many stitches I have selected. Next, you're going to have free motion options. So there's 4 free motion options. You have this spring one and this one. They are 2 different ones. This is the dynamic spring foot that comes with your machine. And then there are some other spring feet you can purchase as well. This is the Sensormatic one, and this is the floating one. And then you're going to have the ruler foot as well. Next, I've already shown you this. This is the tie off where you can have it at the beginning, the end, the thread cut, things like that. You have create sequence here. So let's create a sequence. So you can come up here, and we have 6 sewing fonts. So these are not embroidery fonts. These are sewing only fonts. So let's come up here and choose a font, and they tell you the sizes on the side as well. So 12 millimeters, 9, 17. So some good sizes. So let's type in sewing, and then let's add a little decorative stitch to the end of it. Let's see, let's go to miscellaneous and see what we can find here. So I think there are some fun little sewing ones. Let's see. I thought there was. Come back over here to decorative and go over here. Let's see what we can find. We may just end up doing a little flower or a little heart or design or something here. Let's do this little, actually, let's do this snowflake. So say I didn't want that other one in there. I'm going to actually move up between my stitches here, and we're going to just trash that first one I did. So let's do sewing right there. So we have it in there. We're going to come up here and touch our check mark. And it's coming through. Yep, we're just acting a little slow today. Come on. There it goes. Okay. So say we only want to stitch out one of these though. So let's come down here to stitch repeat and single stitch program, just like that, just one. So let's stitch this out here. Actually, let me change my thread. The screen's a little hard to see. So let's go back to a red really quick. So that way you can see it really clearly. And you can see one of my favorite features again in action. I love, oh, put that hung up there. I love the needle threader. One of my all-time favorite things that our machines can do. So there we go. So let's come back up here. We're going to line up our line with our lines that we have drawn. And we're just going to press the start stop button. You could definitely use the foot pedal if you wanted to. I'm just going to use the start and stop because I know it's going to stop after that single rotation of the design that I have. And so this is going to give you more of a running stitch look, so a little bit bolder stitch look, and I love that about it. You can, there's fonts that are just a single stitch, or you've got that bolder, more running stitch look you can have as well. And you can see on the machine screen, as it finishes each stitch, it's moving up so you know where you're at within your design. So we're going to cut there. And there is the word sewing, and my original tail got caught up under a little bit there. Let me cut that guy. Let's see if I can pull him out. So you can have a good look there. There we go. Okay. So there's the word sewing and a little snowflake. So if you had a tag or a label you wanted to make, how quick and easy would that be to have the sewing stitches do it for you? And then you can save that and access it at any time and use it over and over again, especially if you're making quilts or you do garments and you want to add in a tag to them that says it was made by you. It's already programmed in there and you can just stitch it out each time. So next you're going to see we did create sequence. So let's go to Stitch Creator. This is another one of my favorite features you have here. So we're going to come over here and we're going to choose, let me see, there is a, we're going to go back to decorative. We're going to come to this stitch right here, this little flower. So you're going to see it in here and we're just going to stitch it out like normal. We're not going to make any changes to it yet because I want you to see the changes as we go to switching them. So let's come back down here. We're going to line that up and we're going to stitch out a couple of these little, they look like little flowers to me. And it is just a running stitch. It's not a triple stitch or anything like that. So we're going to cut there. So I have 4 of those stitched out and this is what they look like. So just a basic little flower leaf thing right there. So now if we come back up, I'm going to cut my tail here. Let's go back to Stitch Creator. And you have the option to make it a triple stitch. So make it a more bold stitch. So if we go back to decorative and number 22, we're going to touch this icon right there, the ×3, and you notice it got a little bit bolder. You see that, how it gets a little bit bolder there? So let's stitch out a couple of these now. So right there, line my lines up. And so now it's going to do more of a running stitch and make the stitch more prominent and defined. So you have that option in Stitch Creator, but that's not the only option you have in Stitch Creator. You can take many of the existing designs and do what I just did, make them a triple stitch, but then you can go in and edit them. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to stitch out one more of these here, and we're going to cut there. So you can see, let me cut my first tail here. So you can see how much bolder these are than the original stitch that was programmed in. So now we're going to take that stitch and we're going to go in here and actually change the stitch now. So if we go back to Stitch Creator, come back up here to decorative number 22, and we're going to take this and we're going to deselect all the nodes. So you can deselect all of them there or have them all selected. We're going to move these nodes so we can take existing designs and change them, or existing stitches and change them just like this. Okay, there we go. And there are many tutorials on doing more of these. I've created, let's stitch out this one real quick first, then we'll go back. So let's save this. Actually, we don't need to save it. We're just going to stitch it out. So let's stitch it out really quick. And you can see how we took that original design and we made it bolder and then we changed it. So you can make this one bold as well. I just didn't do that ×3 option on this one. So let's stop there. So isn't that neat? You can just do so many different things with Stitch Creator just like that. So all the same stitch, but changed up in different ways. But the other thing you can do with Stitch Creator is start completely from scratch. So I have created a football, I've created a pineapple, I've created a palm tree, but let's do like a little Christmas tree really quick. So I don't have anything loaded in here. This little icon right here is going to give you the option to add in these little stitches. So we're just going to add them in right here, and we're going to make a little Christmas tree really quickly. And you can see how quick and easy that is to do that. And if you were, if I was doing this for a good stitch out, I would, make sure my lines were lined up a little bit more here, but oh, come on, I want to move that stitch. So if you need to move them more finely, you can use the arrows there as well. So let's just do this really quickly here. And add another one. We got to get the other side of our tree, right? So just keep adding them here. And again, it's going to be a little bit of a wonky tree, but for the purposes of you being able to see how quick and easy this is. But when you get to the top, we can't just, let me show you, we can't just have it come straight back down. Add in another one. Oh, we need to, oh, what am I doing? Go back this way. And one more here. Oh, come on. Sometimes when they overlap like that, you just have to use your little arrows to get everything lined up. So there's my little wonky Christmas tree. Let me make them just a little bit better here, because I want to stitch them out and show you too. So now what we're going to do, let me get back to my last stitch here. We're going to add in another stitch. So basically we're going to just come back down and overlap over the stitches that we already did, because if not, it's just going to start stitching out that next tree, and the trees are going to overlap each other. So the next one will start here, and it just wouldn't look pleasing to the eye. So let me use my little arrows here, fine tune. Oh, come on. I don't know why this is, oh, it doesn't give me, only I can just pick it up. Oh, come on. It's not picking up on my fingers today. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it is getting chilly here, and so my fingers are cold, and I think my screen's just not liking my fingers today. Oh, come on. There we go. And a couple more here. Just like that. And one more. Like that, and another one here. And then we're just going to add some stitches right below it, because we need them to be, we don't want them to be on top of each other, so we want to have those 2 stitches between it. So here's our little tree, our little wonky Christmas tree, my little Charlie Brown tree. So we're going to program that in, and we're going to come over here and stitch out our little tree. You can see what that looks like and how quick and easy that was for me to create a stitch from scratch, just by using those nodes. So there's a couple of them there. So isn't that neat? Look at that. We made our own little stitch right there, all on the screen, super quick and easy. So let's come back over here. I think that's really it for the sewing side of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to show you, but I think that's really it for sewing. So let's go over to embroidery. Let's talk about the embroidery side of it now. So with the embroidery, you get 3 hoops with it, and I've got them here for you to visually see. You get a 360 by 260, which is a really good size hoop here. You get a 260 by 200, this size right here, and then a 120 by 120. So these are the 3 hoops you get with the machine. You can also purchase a turnable hoop. So this is a 360 by 350 hoop. Let me back up here so you can see. So it would stitch out on one side, and then you would flip it, and it would stitch out on the other side. And you're not limited to these hoops here. There are many other hoops that you can purchase separately as well, but these are the 3 besides this big one that you can get with your machine. And then this is as big as you can do in your machine, which is a really big size. I've done the back of shirts like this, denim shirts, jackets, things like that. I've done big pillow fronts, fun things like that as well. So you've got a good space to work within. So let's come over here. So to get to embroidery mode, we're going to come up here and we're going to select embroidery. Super easy. And my embroidery arm has been on the whole time, so you can sew with your embroidery arm on. It basically gives you some extra extension there. So up here, we are going to find the designs that come on the machine, the built-in designs right here. These are going to be the signature ones. So these are only on this machine, the Creative Performance 950. They were made just for this machine. There's Pfaff exclusive designs, flowers and leaves, lots of different categories to choose from right here. But what's exciting is this one right here, the My Sewnet tab. When you connect your Wi-Fi when you connect your machine to your Wi-Fi and then you log into your My Sewnet account, you can access all of the My Sewnet library designs with your My Sewnet subscription. So everything that you find on the website is going to be right here on your machine, and you don't have to send it over. It's just all going to be right here for you. So let's go through that a little bit. So if we came up here and we searched, let's do holiday. and see what comes up. And then we're going to search right there. So this is going to give you all of the holiday, get rid of that, holiday stitches that we have. But you could break that down a little bit more. We could change it to a 120 by 120 so that it would fit in a specific hoop if you had a specific project in mind or something you wanted to stitch on. So now these are all of the 120 by 120 holiday hoops. You have that option to filter there, and then you could sort also by how many stitches, when it was released, design size, all the things like that as well. So I love that we have that ability to not only access the built-in designs, but also the library designs. There are, let me see, I wrote it down because I knew I wasn't going to remember this number. There are 840 designs on your machine. Those are just the built-in designs, but there are over 1,000 designs, over more than that, thousands of designs on the library that you can access to. So the possibilities for what you're being creative with are endless. There are 8 embroidery fonts. So we talked about the sewing fonts before. These embroidery fonts, let me show you these. These are actually embroidery fonts. They're going to be more satin fonts. These are not the decorative stitch fonts. So you have lots of options here, all the way up to 60 millimeters. This Eclipse one is up to 60. So if we typed in holiday right here, you can see what that looks like right there. And it's going to show up on your screen. Oh, I'm not on the right screen. I'm sorry. Let me back up here. So if we come over here to the T icon here, these are going to be all of your fonts right in here. And you have many different options, 8 different options, but then within those 8, you have different sizes. So the Eclipse 60 is going to be the biggest one, and I typed in holiday, and it's going to show up right there. You can adjust this if you want. So we could make this curved. We could make it more inverted if we wanted to. Lots of different options to adjust it and personalize it right here on the screen. So let's come, we're actually going to, let me minimize this guy and come back up here. And let's find a holiday design to put in here with it. And let's just create directly on the screen. I want you to be able to see how fun and easy it is to do this right here on the screen. You can send these designs directly from the machine to your software if you wanted to as well. So let's do this little guy, this little snowman right here. So we have our little snowman and the word holiday. And so you can stitch that out right there. You could program in sewing stitches. You could add in those sewing stitches if you wanted to and have them embroider out. If you go to this next one here, this is going to show you the list of all of the designs that are within here. So you can select them individually to adjust them if you need to. You can also change the color of them. So when you open that up, it's going to give you a list of all of the thread changes that are within that design. So if we came up here and we wanted to make holiday and every other letter be a different color, let's change the color. We can choose right here from any, just move our little color wheel around and move things around, or we can go to our thread library. Right up under here, you're going to see all of the thread colors are going to be listed just right in here. I personally use Robus and Anton Rayon 40 the most, so that's what I'm going to have programmed. I have a red right here, and it's 2420 is the thread color. So if I type that in, that's tuxedo red, and I apply. So now say I want to, let's go ahead, and it's already most recently there, so I don't even have to research it. So if I come back up here and we want to see the whole thing again. So now you can see that I easily change that, and we can have a visual of what it's going to look like with my thread colors that I have on hand. You can also change the background color. So if I knew that I was going to be embroidering this on, let's say, just a blue bag or something like that, I can have blue in the background, and then I can notice, ooh, that color doesn't really work so well with the blue background. So I can easily come up here and we can change that blue color. Let's change it to a white this time. And we're going to change all of those blues to a white right there. And come back up here. So you can see it all and see how much easier that is to see holiday on there versus the way it was before. So you have that visual of everything directly on this machine screen here. Let's see what else. Let me show you these under here. So you have your hoop options as well. Here are your list of hoop options that you have that you can purchase separately along with the ones that come with the machine. And let's do create shape. So that sort of goes back into what we were doing with the word holiday up there. We're going to actually back out and deselect that. So I don't want to have that selected. Now we're going to go back to create shape. And you can't see the parts of holiday because I made them white and now my background's white again. But you can come up here and make your own shapes. So you have basic ones and then you have these dingbat ones right here. So if we wanted to make a banner, we could add in the shape that we wanted. We could use embroidery designs to fill out that banner. Like there's these little mini flowers. I like to use these sometimes to make a little applique. So did I get one of them added? I don't think I selected it. I'm sorry. Let's come back up here. Go back to our mini and have it selected. So there it is there. So let's add in, let me move this a little bit so you can see it down here too. So we can add in until we fill the space or until we get it to the size we want right there. So there's our little banner with that. Or we can choose a satin stitch or a decorative sewing stitch as well. So let's come up here and choose a satin stitch. Let's just choose this one right here. And it still has my flowers in there. So let's just go ahead and delete all of those really quick. And go back to my satin here. So we can add that in and fill in that space to give us that satin look right there. And that's going to give us that. Make it a little bit bigger so that when I take it back into embroidery, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So let's fill that. There we go. So now if we touch our check mark, there's our little banner and it's a little applique, create shape applique right there. So that's really fun to do as well. Just so much you can do directly on the screen without having to take it to the software and things like that. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything else. There were so many things that I wanted to tell you about, some of the great features and benefits there are to this machine. So if you have not seen this machine in person, I definitely recommend visiting your store and having them show it to you in person. They would love to sit down and demo it for you and let you physically see it. I know it's great to see it here on screen with me, but it's even more fun to see it in person. So I just want to say thank you again to Rocky Mountain Sewing and Back for inviting me to go through the Creative Performance 950 with everybody. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have further questions, please feel free to reach out to them directly and they would be happy to answer those for you and to invite you in for doing a demo. So thank you very much.
Welcome back. That was great.
It was. Oh my gosh. I love that machine. I love that I got the chance to play with it a little bit and play with some of the cool accessories you can do. So
yeah, and speaking of accessories, we have something that we want to talk about here. So right now we have, not only do we have amazing, spectacular pricing on these machines, we have special financing up to 72 months, no interest, and also some with interest financing options depending on what you want to do. But we also have a package from Pfaff. We kind of get to double dip. Not only do we have abnormally low prices, but Pfaff, this is their national promotion. You get the 10x10 Grand Quilters hoop and a multifunction foot control with it, along with a trolley. So it's a really nice package they put together that you get to double dip. So Megan, should they triple dip? What do you think?
ooh, we could triple dip.
What do you think we should include?
1 second.
We're prepared.
Okay, so here at the warehouse, we found some of the Floriani Embroidery Essentials bundles.
Yes.
These bundles are great, especially if you are getting an embroidery machine, you want to dive into it and really get into it, because it comes with, of course, this nice plastic bag. We can never have too much storage.
It's a purse.
Yep, there you go. It's a perfect little purse. All right. But what's nice is you can see through it, so we can kind of see all the accessories. There's $1,400 worth of embroidery designs included in here. There's the Floriani Fusion software.
Yes.
So if you are interested in embroidery and want to make your own labels or designs or anything like that, this is fabulous for that. It does have a roll of the Floriani Power Mesh, which is one of my favorite stabilizers. It's got a thread set in there that actually has a bunch of embroidery designs included. And it also has the Floriani Toolkit, which I think that they did that for us because it's Rocky Mountain blue. So.
It is, just for us.
And I gotta just plug really fast this multifunction foot control. Coolest foot control on the market, I think, because you can program every single thing and not have to move your hands off.
Yep.
So the fact they're including that is really
Beautiful.
exciting.
What's the value of that? $2,300 value, I think?
$2,900 value.
$2,900 value. So this is another one of those. If you watched our first video, we had some limited supply items. This is another one of those. So don't delay. Buy today. And give us a shout at this number if you're outside of Colorado. And I'd be happy to talk to you. That actually comes directly to me, so I'd love to talk to you about a 950. And then come to see our stores if you want to see this great machine in action. You will be blown away by how awesome it is.
It's such a fun machine to test drive, so totally come in and check it out. It's really fun.
Awesome. Well, we gave you your homework, so we'll see you soon, and thanks for joining us.